Yes guys, how's it going? Welcome back to a new video. I hope you guys are all having a great Wednesday. I am out and about. The sun is just about shining, but it's a little bit windy. So I've tried to sit down here next to this fence where hopefully the audio will be okay. But some big news on the player that is widely reported that Newcastle are so close to signing. The defensive midfielder from AC Milan. The £55 million player that is reported is so close to signing for Newcastle, but it could still be another week before it's announced. So we'll come on to that in a moment. I also want to talk about the fact that, well, I think we all know now, Maddison is heading off to Spurs. It's understood that he has agreed terms on a £9 million contract, which is around £175,000 a week. Talk a little bit about this in this video. And Szoboszlai, the player whose release clause actually runs out at the end of this week. Are Newcastle going to act fast and meet that release clause to get him in as quickly as possible? Because it's reported by The Athletic that Liverpool representatives actually met with Szoboszlai representatives this week as well. So do Newcastle need to move quick before we potentially lose out on Maddison and him? We'll talk about that in this video. To start things off, we'll talk about Tonali. As I've mentioned, Keith from Sky and Sky Sports are now reporting that Tonali will in fact travel back to Newcastle before officially signing and becoming a Newcastle player. Obviously, it's a little bit awkward at the minute because he's currently out playing for Italy under-21s. He actually plays a game tonight for Norway. So if you want to watch that, it's on UEFA.tv. It's free. England are playing tonight as well. So if you want to watch Anthony Gordon in action, you can watch the pair of them back to back. I think first one's 5, second one's 7:45-ish. So if you want to watch some football tonight, there's 2 games for free on UEFA.tv. No, I'm not sponsored and I don't have a link. But if you want to go watch them, go check it out. Tonali's been fun to watch so far. They play Norway. Now, they actually sit second in the group right now. If they win, they will go on to the quarterfinal. There's no round of 16. It goes straight to quarterfinal, then semi-final, then final. Which is great for Tonali, captain of the under-21s. You want to see him go out there and do a great job. For Newcastle, however, it's being reported, as I mentioned, by Sky Sports, that he actually won't return to Newcastle until after the tournament. It's understood that Dan Ashworth and Newcastle staff went out there. He was in Milan meeting Tonali's agent. Then they were over to Romania, where Tonali is right now for the Euros. It was understood that Newcastle staff were getting sent out there to do the medical. You might remember when Bruno did his medical with Brazil, we actually sent a whole load of staff out there to get it done. Dusted. It actually got announced with Bruno just sat at a desk in a random room in Brazil. We've signed the player. And I think a lot of Newcastle, or at least I kind of wanted that to happen this weekend. It's done, it's dusted. Just announce it. It's official. We're going to stop talking about Tonali as an almost Newcastle player and just be happy that it's done. It's a little bit different because the Bruno one was like the dying embers of a transfer window. This one, there is time, and as much as I'm impatient and I want it to happen now, you can understand why they may want to bring him back, go through the contract in full detail, and get the full medical done as well. That's what Sky Sports are reporting, that he will actually return to Newcastle, to the training ground at the end of the tournament, so they can run out the full medical on Tonali before they announce the signing. And I think it's the best way to do it, to be honest, as much as I'd rather they just told us now. You can understand why they are doing it. And we're just about to spend 55 million. Some are reporting 60, even higher. It's a pretty big deal that Newcastle are bringing this player in. It's a big deal that we are taking him from AC Milan, where he's been fantastic, and to just do an announcement with a photo of him stood in a back cupboard somewhere. Maybe they also want to take a bit of time, ham it up a little bit, have a proper reveal in the stadium. I know it's for us, but it's for the world as well. It's for the world to see. The announcement photo of Tonali, you know, half dressed in a changing room doing a signing somewhere, isn't particularly going to grab the attention. Well, maybe it would if he was half dressed. Isn't particularly going to grab the attention, you know what I mean? Whereas having him walking through the tunnel in the black and white, a big song in the background, brass band playing, local hero, you know, whatever, that sends a message not just to the fans, but to the whole world. So it's getting the medical done properly back in Newcastle, and it's B, I think, because if they are fully happy with the fact that it's happening, then what is the rush? You know, if he's already signed the papers, they just want to make sure they do the announcement when he gets back. So you can see both sides of it. You let me know your thoughts on the Tonali one down below. Would you rather they just did it? Or are you calmly confident that, yeah, it's happening, so, you know, why worry about something? It's just for us, we can't see that signature anywhere. The owners can probably see that signature, so they're not bothered. They take as long as they want to do it, whereas for us, it's like, just show us. But anyway, it is happening. I think everyone's quite happy to say that it is happening. We're just waiting for that little signature. And as I've said, he could well be playing in the quarterfinals of the Euros under 21s this weekend if he does go through. And then it'll be the semis, and then it'll be the final. So really, we're looking at the end of next week. So it could be a little bit of time. So let me know your thoughts on that. Are you confident? Are you happy? Would they rather they just took the picture of him and just said it's done? In other news, as I've mentioned, James Maddison looks set to sign for Spurs. Obviously, he was someone that Newcastle have been highly linked with. I'm driving around quite a lot today, so I had TalkSport on, and they were saying they don't understand the Maddison links or why it was thought he might sign for us this summer. We made 3 bids for him last window. So yes, I think the links were definitely there, and look, some people are saying you can't lose out on a player that you were never in for, and I totally get it, because we didn't bid. That's that. As it's reported, Newcastle did not place a bid this window, and it could be that Eddie Howe changed his mind. It could be that Eddie Howe wasn't fussed in the end, and it could be that some people have said, you know, how much does Maddison actually fit our system, and how well would he have integrated? I'm not going to sit here and say that I didn't want Maddison to sign. I did. I was a fan of him. I was excited to see him hopefully finally get it over the line for Newcastle after being linked for windows. That's what I mean. It's not just been January. It was last summer as well. So it is disappointing. But we're bringing in Tonali, by the way. You know, a younger player with more age on his side. Heavily experienced, different type of player, but I think the main thing is it's not just him we're being linked with, it's not just Maddison we're being linked with, it's loads of players. Barella, you know, we're being linked with Barella, we're being linked with Szoboszlai, who I want to talk about again in a moment. It's not like we're being linked with one player and it's game over. It's not like, oh no, we lost Maddison, oh no. It is a bit of I wouldn't mind that one, actually. Could have done with a bit of a Maddison in our midfield, or even just in our changing room, but we've got other options, and one of the options is Szoboszlai, or I've been saying Szoboszlai. It's said by Fabrizio Romano that his release clause ends at the end of this week. And it's meant to be a pretty hefty one. I think it's 60-70 million pounds Szoboszlai has on his release clause. So you can understand why Newcastle haven't quite rushed into it and paid it off straight away. But if Newcastle do want him, might they need to move pretty quickly? Because it's also reported today by The Athletic that Liverpool representatives have in fact met with the Szoboszlai team today to talk about the option of him joining the club. Now, that isn't the news you want to hear, but it's not to say that we aren't still in the ring, and it's not to say that because Liverpool have come in, that's going to be the answer. I think he's a player that a lot of people are interested in. I think it's a player that I think a lot of teams will have considered paying that big release clause. The trouble is, it's massive. And according to other reports, this release clause would have to be paid up front as well. It goes back to, yes, we have the richest owners in the world, but having the money available in the club, having the FFP and having these owners of the bits. Remember when we bought Gordon, the owners sold a share of the company to themselves for 45 million, so that we had the liquid money to go, yep, here's the big box of cash, Everton. You know, actually, like, free cash in the club wasn't available, which is why we went down that route of basically handing over a box of money by selling shares to ourselves. Now, that is an option with Szoboszlai, but it's not something you want to do too often. You can't keep messing around with the shares, which is why it's thought Newcastle may have actually held off on it. My hair's going mad in this wind. Held off on it on purpose, so that following the release clause, we can go in with a different offer, a different bid, and try to do a structured payment. Which makes sense. It makes sense for us. It means we don't have to pay everything up front. Ideally, we might not have to pay as much as the release clause either. The downside of it is you then open up the world for everyone else and their dog, including Liverpool, to also potentially have an in and a chance to discuss it as well. So, yeah, we'll have to wait and hear on that one. The reports are still pretty rife that Newcastle are clearly keen on the player. Now with Maddison being gone, Szoboszlai looks to be the number one. Well, For a lot of fans, I'll say, I think a lot of fans are very interested. It's definitely known that Newcastle are interested. Could we have another player in the background that Dan Ashworth's working on? Quite possibly. It could be another one. It could be a Szoboszlai we talk about that everyone's very excited about. You know, all of a sudden the Barella one kicks back into action. Everyone's going, hang on, who? Wouldn't mind a bit of him either. So yeah, we'll wait and see. But you let me know your thoughts on that midfielder situation. Obviously, 3 midfielders we've discussed in this video. Tonali looks set to sign, but we could have to wait a week before it's officially announced and his medical done. Maddison looks like he's off to Spurs. Are you upset about that? Are you not bothered about that? If Szoboszlai is the option left, should we splash the 70 million to get him in? Or are Newcastle playing it cool and getting it done right after the release clause when we can play in instalments and maybe even pay a little bit less as well? You guys let me know your thoughts down below. Thank you for watching as always. Hopefully the audio is okay. It's pretty much daily uploads right now. There's so much going on with Newcastle. So be sure to subscribe if you haven't already. Don't miss out. Thank you for watching and I'll catch you later.